What it do, what it do? It's your boy Andre Spruell, and you are tuning in to the Middle of the Fence podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, whether you're listening, watching, or both. As I like to say, time is the most valuable thing on this earth because we can spend it but can't make it back. So as always, thank you for your time. And if this is your first time tuning into us, please be sure to check out some of our previous episodes on your favorite podcast streaming platform, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you're more of a visual type of person, please be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. And while you're at it, be sure to follow, subscribe, and comment on all platforms so we can continue organically growing this platform. And today's episode is early aspirations and dreams. So we are going to delve into how aspirations and dreams are viewed and or handled on both sides of the fence, and navigating identity and delving into a personal story of early aspirations and dreams for myself that didn't end up going how I hoped it would, but again, everything happens how it's supposed to. So let's start at the beginning and what I thought my future would look like as a kid on both sides of the fence. So before I get into the specifics with that, a study from Linda Gottfriedsen's Circumscription and Compromise Theory. Young children as early as 5 begin forming career ideas. Their immediate environment, such as family, community, and school, plays an outsized role in molding what is visible or possible to them. So, again, just taking some time to digest that. As early as the age of 5, the ideas of career and aspirations start to get into the mind and body of children. And I will say that one thing that I am very grateful for my family for what they did, not only for myself, but for my siblings growing up, is they always emphasized the importance of being whatever we wanted to be in this world. And I think from the tough terrain side, and I mentioned in a previous episode how a lot of kids that grow up on the tough terrain side tend to look up to athletes and entertainers as like the bread and butter of what it looks like to make it, and from a career aspirations perspective, and maybe down to community leaders if they're impacted on that level. And on the Affluent Acre side, there's exposure to more structured opportunities and different career paths and broader possibilities. So the ideal of career and dreams and aspirations, like how I just mentioned with the Affluent Acre side, that's the one that I was embodying without knowing it, because again, growing up and seeing that, oh wow, you don't have to be an athlete and entertainer to make something of your life. You can be a real estate agent and do well for yourself. You can have a cleaning business and do well for yourself. You can own laundromats and do well for yourself, or be someone that sells products online. I've even seen people that have one of those pyramid scheme, selling products and things like that have very nice homes and do very well for themselves. And so how did the dreams and aspirations look like for me personally? So when I was in first grade, I wanted to be a doctor so bad. I went to the Liberty Science Center as a kid, and if you're from Jersey, you know very well what that is. But whether you're into science or not, Liberty Science Center is just a really cool place to go, and you obviously will learn something new. And so being a doctor just seemed like the coolest thing. But then as I got into, I'd say like 7, 8 years old, I realized that I loved sports and I was really good at it. So growing up, I was always playing sports. Basketball ended up being the primary sport, but I played football. I played football too, soccer. Any sport, I was just naturally athletic and like first kid to be picked in gym class type shit. But like I mentioned, basketball was the first aspiration that I had as a kid. And the moment that made me realize that was when I was in middle school. So I was 12 years old, and my coach at the time, and this was when I was playing basketball on the Affluent Acre side, and he said, all you need is a ball and a hoop and you can be great. And I took that literally because, again, because of the financial circumstances from growing up on the tough terrain side and being athletic, certain sports were just not going to happen. Like hockey was not going to happen, like lacrosse wasn't going to happen, right? So certain sports, because of the gear and the materials needed, just weren't going to happen. But basketball, all you need is a ball and a hoop. I had that, plenty of space, and worked on my game for a lot. And, it's what I ended up really pursuing hard, despite my physical limitations of being 5'9", and those early dreams turned into a real identity for me. I really identified as Andre, the basketball player. And by the time I hit college, I wasn't just playing ball, I was living it, until everything changed. And for those that know my story with that, they saw firsthand how hard it was. But for those that don't know, it's not like I was Division I playing at like super big schools that you see on TV and March Madness and things like that. But I did get to play basketball on the NCAA Division III level at Wilkes University in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Shout out Colonels. Always a great day to be a Colonel. And the reason why it was such a big goal for me to hit, like despite the collegiate level that it was because since I was 12 years old, I drilled it into my mind that, hey, I'm going to work my ass off at this sport so I can play in college, so I can get a college education for free or get it at a much reduced cost so my family can put me through college. This is my way to help them out. I could have done it through scholarships as well, because I did get a good amount of scholarships while sending out my college applications. But I knew basketball was like the lock because I was really, really good at it. And, I went from in elementary and middle school playing on the AAU circuit, and I was either starting or was the first or second kid off the bench playing significant minutes. And in high school, I was always starting. I never got off the court. And then I go to college and I realized, wow, even though it's Division III, these kids can really, really play. And my freshman year of college, I barely played. And then I tore my ACL in my right knee after freshman year. So I missed all of sophomore year. And then by the time my junior year came around for college basketball, I rehabbed hard. I was ready to go. And a month before the season started, I tore my other ACL. And once senior year of college basketball came around, I was like 50, 60 pounds overweight. I lost my athletic ability. I lost my love for the game. And it was a very, very tough time. And it was one of those things where, again, it's not like, oh, I'm going to make it to the NBA. Like, I'm aware it is very, very difficult to make it to the NBA, but, pro in the sense of playing in like a, league in a different country and things like that, I figured it was more viable, so it was just more so playing it and going as far as I possibly could with it. And So, but it was very, very challenging mentally and emotionally. The first time I tore my ACL, it I was fine because it was right before summertime, so I was home and my family's Argentinian and black cooking was so good that it made me gain 40, 50 pounds. And but I had a lot of support around me, so it was easier to navigate through that one. And but when the second one happened at the beginning of my junior year, that's the one that just devastated me a lot. And that one happened while I was in college, like while the semester was happening, and I had the surgery a week before Halloween. And if you went to college, Halloween weekend is one of the weekends that you look very, very forward to. Girls looking very, very fine, guys looking like funny and dope in their costumes too. And everyone is out and about partying and enjoying their Halloween, and I'm home, leg propped up, iced, needing help to do anything. And that injury is so bad that I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And the mental and emotional state was just more so one of just sadness and despair, depression. And I always felt like I had to put up a front of being happy and I'm positive I got this, but on the inside it was eating me up. And the lowest moment was when for the first month of those surgeries, you can't physically step into a shower. So it's like you literally have to stand in front of a sink, grab a washcloth, soap it up with soap and water, and give yourself a bird bath, essentially. And I realized that, as those injuries happened, a lot of the people that were friends with me or that were in my or just around me, like in general prior to college, that were totally on board with the Andre the basketball player persona, it was a lot of them just disappeared, and even family, and to get deeper with this, I don't want to be boring you guys too much and sounding like, well, if this didn't happen, I would have went pro. That's what I told the girls at the bars. I'm just kidding. So my family has always been very, very supportive of me, and that was one of my favorite things when I was going after the dream of playing professional basketball, wherever it was gonna quote unquote take me. Was all my games were a time where my mom, my siblings, aunt, uncle, cousin, both sets of grandparents, my dad would all come and support and be at the games together. And regardless of what we were going through, those were the times where we were all united and being able to, not only just support me, but to be there for one another. And it was such a beautiful thing. But as I went through the injuries and was a bench warmer pretty much, and went from starting and playing a lot to being lucky to even see 30 seconds of game time. My family's support never wavered, especially my mom, my siblings, and my grandparents and aunt and uncle and cousin at the time as well. And I always get a little like choked up thinking about it, but it was the lowest moments of my life during that time, because I just kept so much bottled in, and it's like the identity that I held on to from the time I was 5 years old through the age of 22, so 17 years, just gone, and being scared of, oh wow, I never thought about what if I didn't make it and didn't hit this dream or goal. Like, what would that look like? But despite that, my family would still drive over 2 hours to go to my college games, even though they knew that I wasn't going to be playing at all. And that type of love and support just can't be put into words. It really can't. And I'm trying my best to hold it together here with this, but um, yeah, that type of love and support made me realize that no matter what dream or aspirations that I had or went after, that I can do it. That obviously I'm not going to be on the court and try to play professional basketball again. Like, my knees are done. I Derrick Rose my knees up, so I'm done with that. I'm done with that shit. I don't even play pickup basketball now. I'm transitioning more so to golf and tennis and pickleball and shit like that. But in all seriousness, like, the love and support from my family to do that says a lot, because through all the years of playing basketball, I saw kids that of all talents and all levels, whether they played a lot or didn't, like, a lot of their families didn't go to the games. So the fact that my family came to the games, regardless whether I was playing, regardless whether I was sitting on the bench, word to Drake, sitting on the bench, nigga, we don't even play every day. It goes a long way for sure. And that experience shifted everything. Basketball was my dream, but that moment taught me that my value wasn't tied to the game. And I'd spent years being the basketball guy. When that was gone, I wasn't sure who I was. And research shows that with former college athletes, that when your whole identity is wrapped in the sport, self-esteem takes a huge hit after it ends. And you enter that state of fear and confusion and pressure of redefining yourself. And outside of, let's say, if you weren't into sports or played sports in college, I feel like the same can be said as far as when you're done with school, like when you're done with college or done with high school, like redefining, like, oh wow, from the time I was a little kid to the time I was a teenager, or to the time I was a teenager or into my early 20s, like, I was a student. Like, what do I do with my life now? The major that I majored in, I don't even want to do anymore. I don't even like it. I just picked it because it's like, yo, I'm 18 and you're asking me what I want to do with the rest of my life. I don't even know what I had for dinner like 2 days ago, So, but I feel like, the lessons learned from both sides of the fence helped me to navigate that, as far as the resilience, grit, and rebuilding after setbacks, which is learned from the tough terrain side, and then the exposure to other careers and life beyond sports through the Affluent Acres side. And that's why I really feel that it's always important to find your passion and what you want to do with your life. And whether it's in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond, it's never too late to really go after what you want and do what you want with your life, And the switch that I made was, luckily, on the bright side, because of those injuries, I was able to think about what my life was looking like after basketball at 20 years old, just having, 2 or 3 years sooner to realize that, I feel like really helped me. And then transition from, oh, wow, I was an athlete so much of my life, and then redefining that into being a creative person. So obviously it led to this podcast, which is my dream and aspiration. And everyone talks about, oh, once you make it, then they share like their story of their dreams and aspirations. But like, what about being in the moment of chasing the dream and aspiration to the point where it's like you are putting in so much work, so many hours, and you're not seeing the results, but you have to pat yourself on the back and just keep going because you believe in it, and then others around you believe in it, so you just keep going and keep fighting the good fight. And before this, the other creative ventures that I thought that I could make it in was, playing some guitar and songwriting, which I do enjoy, but music industry is too dark and shady, the Illuminati shit in there, I'm good, And I also delved into what it was like to write my own script for a TV show. I was in classes. I was, meeting with other TV script writer people and being in classes for it. And then it ultimately led me to the podcast, which took me 2 years to get to this point. And it was a lot of ups and downs along the way. And I feel like that is the major takeaway when it comes to dreams and aspirations, regardless of what side of the fence you grew up on. Like, I feel like everyone has a purpose or a calling in life, and we all want the journey to be a straight linear line, but it's up and down, like that heartbeat machine in the ER and emergency rooms. I can't think of the name right now, and I'm really blanking, so I feel kind of stupid for not knowing it, but that's a great representation. It's like your heartbeat. Like there's spikes up and down constantly, and that's how it is when you're on the journey of going after your dreams and aspirations, because if your heart is flatline, you're cooked. So the journey is never going to be a flat line. It's always going to be up and down, but those are the moments to embrace. And then we get in our own way, because it's like, oh, what if it doesn't work out? What if I become too successful? What if? But it's like, if a certain venture doesn't work out, you can always learn from it, and it leads to a even better venture that's meant for you. And the spiritual element, again, everyone has their own beliefs with that, but I truly believe that, God gave us gifts to share with the world, and we do a disservice to hold on to those gifts and not share them with the world, because there's people that need to receive those gifts in order to help them navigate through their own lives. So I'm not saying that I'm a savior by doing this podcast or anything like that, but this is just the raw and authentic take of just how passionate I am when it comes to this and how much it means to me. And this is, again, aside from, we're all more alike than we think and bridging the socio-economic gap, it's, this is the dream and aspirations, and for you guys being here to support the early stages of it really means a lot. So, in some ways, losing basketball as my identity forced me to chase the bigger dreams, the ones built on who I really am. So, yeah. And if I were to leave a question for the audience, this is what I would tell you guys. I'm just going to tell you guys this. Think about the people who have showed up to support your dreams or to support you in general, and reach out to them and let them know how much you love them and value their support. Because, sometimes we're so focused on our journey and our problems and our own personal issues that we sometimes take for granted the people that have always been there to support us through it all. So take time to show them some love. And again, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. If you like this episode, please be sure to continue checking this out on your favorite podcast streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also please be sure to check us out on YouTube so you can see the video portion of it as well. And please be sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe on all the platforms. And again, guys, no matter what side of the fence you grew up on, we're all more alike than we think. My name is Andre Spruell. Catch you guys next time.